Folks, it's the early week edition of College Sports Now, coming at you a little bit earlier than usual. Full disclosure, Tuesday here at the old Learfield Audio Department is what we're calling Share the Care Day, Roddy. So on Tuesday, normally I'm in here with you, just, as my wife likes to point out all the time, just goofing around on the internet, not really doing a whole lot of anything. But on Tuesday morning, when our listeners hear this, I will be driving around delivering some good old-fashioned Meals on Wheels to the fine folks in Winston-Salem who need them. So we've had to move up our recording time. Roddy's just pounding a protein bar for those of you watching on YouTube. He claims these are the, quote, best protein bars on the market, end quote, and can be found courtesy of one Kirkland Enterprises. So Roddy Jones from ESPN hanging out with us. The Doc of Locks, Trip Hurd, may or may not be joining us. We had some technical difficulties with Trip. He's also at home with a sick kid, so thoughts and prayers for our boy, Trip Hurd. Trip, are you with us? Maybe?
I hope so. Can you hear me now?
Yes, he is here. Let's go.
Look at that.
All right, so here's what we're going to do today. Power Hour, no guests, all gas, no breaks. Roddy, how was Provo?
22 grams of protein, 2 grams of sugar, 10 carbs. Like, find me a protein bar that can do what this Costco protein bar can. And the answer is you can't. So I am pounding this because your boy is famished. We are working, not famished. That's not true. I did have lunch. We're working on, this is hour number 7 of giving these takes, which is my service to the community.
Take us behind the scenes. Who else has heard these takes today?
We've had ACC, Sirius XM radio, and then College Sports Today on Sirius XM radio. So we are lathered. We are in a full lather at this point in time. But I saved my best material for you, baby.
Well, as everybody knows, College Sports Now, myself specifically, we don't really like to feed at the trough. Okay, we ask Roddy questions. We try to get him to go places that the folks at Sirius XM aren't really brave enough to go.
Well,
right?
It's really funny because you say it all the time. We don't feed at the trough. I am the trough now.
You are the only trough that we have. You are employed by Disney. Yes, I understand. Now, you also happen to get to go to games and travel for television, and that helps us out here because, you were in Provo. It was one of the games of the weekend, one of the stories of college football. You were there firsthand. So how the hell was it? And why was BYU so tight? Because I was watching it on TV, and I was like, BYU's tight. They look tight.
It was good. Provo was good. Have you ever been to Provo?
No, sir.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Bro, I've seen a lot of mountains this year. Obviously, I haven't gone to Colorado 3 times now. Arizona State.
You have been on the road to places that are just like white meccas, okay? Boulder, Colorado, Provo, Utah, Tempe, Arizona. Dude, you have been to some places where you've probably been looking around like, I'm not like everybody else here.
It was very evident in Provo. Let me just say that.
More so than Boulder, right?
More so than Boulder. And look,
which is hard. That's hard to do.
It's rare to find a person of color in Boulder. In Provo, people are like, and like my Uber driver. So I Ubered to the stadium. Didn't want to drive. A little too far to walk, so I Ubered to the stadium. My Uber driver was a Dominican guy of color. And he's like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Bro, where are you from?"
He's like, "My guy, what's up? So good to see you.
You in town for?" I'm like, "What are you doing here?"
There's a convention. You didn't know?
Right. So no, it was good. To that effect. Just as an aside, Kalani Sitake is one of the best coaches you will ever talk to.
Great interview.
He is obviously he's Tongan, and so he sees the value of diversity and has really pushed hard for more diversity on his football team. Not just because diversity helps you win, and I'm not just talking about black dudes. I'm talking about they got a Jewish quarterback.
They have a Jewish quarterback at Brigham Young University. Yes,
correct. Where there are 5 Jewish students at the entire university. The population of Utah is 0.8% minority. And I can't. Quint had the population of Utah's entire Jewish population. What percentage of the population is Jewish? So this is a rarity for anywhere in Utah.
So per capita, BYU might be the most diverse place in the entire state. is what you're saying.
It might be.
Yeah.
You can go look up at the numbers. Like, it might be. But it's really important to Kalani Sitake, and we talked to him a little bit about it because he has promoted that. He has said we need that on our football team. It makes us a better football team. And honestly, he always brings it back to the church, and like it makes us more closer to God. Although the Mormon Church has a checkered past with diversity. But him talking about just how this team has come together and what Jake Retzloff has brought to them was really cool. In terms of on the field, they had one of these coming, bro. Like, they had one of these coming. They did. They have played with fire week after week after week, and they hadn't gotten burned, but they got burned. The turnover faucet dried up. Kansas turned the ball over one time. The special teams faucet dried up. It became about Kansas's special teams, not BYU's. Kansas had the pooch punt that hits off the back of a BYU guy's helmet. Nobody's fault. But in these special seasons, like, those are the bounces that had gone for BYU, and they went for Kansas. And then at the end, they just didn't have the play. They had been clutch, and they just didn't have the play. So the question is now, do they right the ship, or do they go on the road to an Arizona State team that's playing really well, where they are an underdog, and they lose that one too, and then are on the outside looking in with the Big 12 championship game scenarios. So it'll be interesting, man.
Which, by the way, and, I'll put you on the spot here. You said you've been doing 7 hours worth of takes, so maybe this has come up. I know where Colorado stands in the Big 12 title race, but what if BYU were to lose to Arizona State? Like, who is number 2?
It depends.
Okay.
On this trusty, dusty notepad,
I prefer yellow. Easier on the eyes.
It is. I've got tiebreaker scenarios in the Big 12.
That is from
Office
Road Trip.
Road Trip.
Damn it.
It's from Road Trip.
Yep.
Which, by the way, Road Trip was filmed. Do you know where, Roddy? Proud Georgia resident.
I have no idea where
Road Trip was filmed at the University of Georgia. Remember Tom Green? Is it Tom Green? He does the campus tour. He takes them into that stadium at the beginning of the film. That's Sanford Stadium.
Ithaca. That's what was in the movie,
fake
right?
College.
Yeah.
But then at the end, when they go visit the dorms, that is Emory University, which was my backyard. True story.
Oh, nice. Tom Green, the one that Eminem rapped about?
Yes, Tom Green. Yeah, the guy from MTV.
Tom Green can hump a dead moose.
Yes.
My bum is on your lips.
He got so
My bum
famous,
is on your lips.
He couldn't do a shtick anymore. That's how.
If you're lucky, I might just give it a little kiss. That's
Canadian,
the message that we deliver to little kids and expect them
we
not to know what a woman's is.
Yep.
All right. Just wanted to clarify if we're talking about the same Tom Green. So the answer to your question, if BYU were to slip up again, it depends. It depends on who they're tied with. Because there's a potential that you could have a BYU, Arizona State, Iowa State tie.
Oh.
And in a BYU, Arizona State, Iowa State tie, I don't have that one. I've got all these different scenarios, and I don't have BYU. I've got BYU, Arizona State, Iowa State, and Colorado all tied. But I don't have the scenario where they're tied, where it's just those three tied.
If it's Colorado versus Arizona State for the Big 12 championship and Oregon's the Big 10 champs, like, I mean, come on, just let's
Chef's kiss, the realignment. How about that? Yeah, it would be interesting, and the Pac-12 people would have a field day for how great the Pac-12 was. But like, sorry, you don't exist anymore, so you don't get to take your victory lap.
Thank you, Roddy. Spoken like a true employee of one Disney company. That's fine.
Well,
it's totally fine.
What do you mean? What? Hold on. What has nothing to do with the company that I work for? You don't exist. You don't get to be like the Southwest Conference doesn't get to claim
life, Roddy.
No, the Southwest Conference doesn't get to be like, oh, look at how great Texas is doing after they moved to the Big 12. Like, you don't get to do that. Right. I'm sorry. You dropped the bag. You fumbled the bag.
Right. There's winners and losers in life.
And you're a loser.
Yes.
You lost. Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. You get nothing.
You get nothing. And you like it. So, sorry to the Pac-12 people, but you don't get to take that victory lap.
Yeah.
You don't get to take that.
That's okay. I don't want to walk through every scenario. I just find it fascinating that Arizona State wrecked K-State over the weekend, and two, Kansas might not be done yet. Because you know who they got coming to town this Saturday, Roddy Jones.
Yeah, they got Colorado and Arrowhead. Without getting too deep into the weeds, if BYU loses to Arizona State And those are the only two teams tied with 2 losses in the Big 12. Arizona State obviously has a head-to-head, they go. If you have a BYU, Arizona State, Iowa State tie, like Iowa State goes and they beat Kansas State, then you're getting to record against conference opponents because none of those 3 have played both other schools. You would have to have a scenario where one of the 3 has beaten both of the other schools for that school to be removed from the tiebreaker. So you're going to get record against common opponents. And off of first look, Kansas is a common opponent of all 3. Utah is a common opponent of all 3. And that might, no, Houston's not. So that might be the only 2. Baylor, Arizona, no. Oklahoma State, no. UCF is a common opponent of all 3.
Okay.
Utah, Kansas. That's it. So Baylor, UCF, and Utah. So what are those 3 teams' records against those? And then figure that out. And then if all 3 are undefeated, well, Iowa State lost to Kansas. In this scenario, BYU will have lost to Kansas. Arizona State beat Kansas. They beat UCF. They beat Arizona. So Arizona State would be in. Arizona State comes out well in a lot of these tiebreaker scenarios because they lost to the teams that nobody else in this group played. And that's the case for, like, if Colorado's involved, like Arizona State ends up being pretty good. Like Arizona State's set up pretty well if they win this week. Let's just say that.
And you said they're favored against BYU?
They are a favorite, yeah.
Man. So, folks, Big 12. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. I had a little popcorn before we came on the show today. I have a penchant for this white cheddar.
You do.
Popcorn
like
that we
that
have
stuff.
upstairs in the break room. Like the Smart
Special
Pop stuff.
Oh, the Smart Pop. Yeah, those stuff's
Yeah,
good.
the black bag with the yellow and green logo.
Low calorie.
We have these 100-calorie bags, and I mean, I survive on these things every day. Just boop, boop. Just can't stop. But not ideal to eat before you use your vocal cords to, like, make magic, which is what we've done here. So the Big 12 is wild. The SEC maybe a little less wild, but still a little wild.
Still pretty wild.
Georgia handled their business. They hunkered down, beat Tennessee. Great. Good for them. They trailed 10-0 and then figured it out. South Carolina, awesome. LSU, thanks for the memories. 6-4.
Can I ask a legit? They're not 6-4. Aren't they? They're
Might be a playoff team.
Oh, they are 6-4. Yeah,
They're
sorry.
6-4.
Sorry, I was a
So
week
what happens
ago.
when you start the year 0-1 every season?
Every year, yeah, you're behind the 8 ball. Is there a Brian Kelly thing going on at LSU?
So I'm not going to pretend like Tripp is shaking his head.
Tripp is nodding his head affirmatively very hard.
There's a Brian Kelly thing.
I'm not going to pretend like I know what the power brokers at LSU are thinking. I can't think that they're thrilled. This guy was in the SEC championship game 2 years ago.
Yeah, but he was 9-3 and sort of backdoored his way in.
Okay, we're okay. All right, fine.
Well,
fine.
no. I'm not saying that as if, like, making it to the SEC championship game is nothing, but this is a program that brought Brian Kelly in to win national championships.
Yeah.
Even had they won the SEC championship, they weren't going to the Natty. He had a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and they had to struggle to win games and backdoor their way into the SEC. It's not like they ran through the West.
Correct.
And then now this year, you've got probably 2 first-round tackles. You went and got a new defensive coordinator that you had to spend a ton of money to go get. And you're going to end up 7-5.
Probably another first-round quarterback too, right? Like
maybe.
Borderline. Okay.
Maybe.
Either way.
Maybe.
It is a fair question that you ask, Roddy. It is.
I'm not suggesting anything. I just can't imagine that they are excited watching, Tennessee go to the college football playoff while they're sitting at home.
I would agree. Although I want to come back to that because that's a bold statement that Tennessee's going to the college football playoff. Still got Vandy on the schedule, bro. Just saying. Yeah, LSU.
Sure.
Look, Brian Kelly achieved probably. I mean, let's face it. He overachieved in year 1. You win the West, you beat Bama, you go to the SEC championship game, and then the last 2 years, it's been a regression back towards probably what we thought LSU was going to be when he took over.
But what's the difference between that LSU team 2 years ago and the LSU team last year? Not much. The defense was a little better. Offense was a little worse 2 years ago, but they were 9-3 too. They just lost the wrong games last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it could have been worse, man. Like, LSU beat an Ole Miss team earlier this year they probably shouldn't have beetten, but they did.
Well, they didn't trail in that game until they lost it.
That's correct.
They absolutely should not have beaten Ole Miss. They had 2 4 downs on the game-tying drive to win it or to get to overtime.
Yeah.
And then it was a sack by Ole Miss on the first play of overtime that pushed them out of field goal. Ole Miss should have won that game.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why I felt like Ole Miss was the best team in the SEC, one of the best teams in the SEC, certainly. And now if you're going to ask me to pick a team to win a national championship game out of that conference, it's either Georgia or Ole Miss. Those are the two.
Listen, I have a friend who works for Ole Miss on 3. He got his hands on your comments about Ole Miss winning a national championship, and the folks in Oxford just love you, man. You could retire. You could go to Oxford right now, Roddy.
It's funny you say that. You know who I rode back on the plane with? I haven't said this anywhere. This is fresh for you guys.
Fresh takes.
Jackson Dart was on my flight from Salt Lake City to Atlanta.
Why?
He's from Utah. He was watching his brother play, and they were off this week. He was watching his brother play in the state playoffs over the weekend, spent some time at home. And so, like, it was an early morning flight, and we're getting on the plane, and he just ends up to being right behind me where we're on the jet bridge. And I'm like, I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it. So I turn around. I'm like, Jackson, you don't know who I am, but I did your game against Arkansas. It was a freaking show, and you guys are playing well. Congrats on it. He was like, thanks, man. Yada, yada, yada. And I looked him dead in the eye. I was like, bro, I don't want this to go to your head, but I've seen a bunch of teams in person this year, including the University of Texas. You guys can win the national championship. He was like, we think so too. I was like, let go, my dog. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, man.
It inspired him.
Listen, first of all, I love that. That's great. That's awesome.
No, it was just super random. That was the reason I brought it up because, I'm taking a 6:50 flight from Salt Lake City to Atlanta after getting done at 1 o'clock local time with our broadcast. Getting back to the room at like 1:30, and Jackson Dart right behind me.
Start crushing cocktails. At that point, like, why even go to sleep?
Random.
You might as well just let it ride. You know what I'm saying?
Random as hell.
Right.
Jackson, why are you standing behind me? He's like, I live here. Why are you standing in front of me?
Great hair on Jackson.
He had a hat
Dart.
on.
We
He
agree.
had a hat on.
Still,
yeah, he does have a great hair.
He's got some flow going. He's got some flow. You love to see.
I don't know. That was the first conversation I've ever had with him, and it was very brief. I found him to be incredibly nice, particularly at that time of the morning, talking to me, some Jamoke who just calls games. But I on the field, like, that dude is a freaking competitor, and I really like watching him compete because there's a swagger there.
Sure.
There's a confidence. There's a fire that I really enjoy.
Now, I gotta say this. What
are you gonna say?
Don't go down to the swamp and catch an L Saturday. Don't
Look.
let that happen, Ole Miss, because as much as I talk smack about Florida after they lost to Miami, and for as disappointing as they were in the month of September, I'm not in that program. I'm not around the coaches and the players who have rallied. Okay? Not like I think they have, or maybe. No. They have 100% rallied around Billy Napier and elevated their level of play to a place, Roddy, that in September I didn't think they were going to get to. All right? Now DJ Lagway is back. I'm glad they brought the card out for him a couple of weeks ago. I'm glad he got that soft tissue thing figured out. He was good against LSU. Do I think they can hang around against Ole Miss? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Don't go down. They've been selling out games down there. It's not like the fans have checked out either. I'm just saying.
Look, I mean, Ole Miss went to LSU at night. Like, let's pump the brakes on. They've been selling out games there in Gainesville. Don't go down there and catch a loss.
But that's a bad football team. Like, they've been sub 500 all year, and yet they're still selling out games. I'm just saying. Like, the old Florida fans would have been like, "We're done. See ya. Peace out."
So what I will say about that game is, unless Ole Miss plays as poorly as they did against Kentucky, they should have no problem this weekend. Because if you watch every other game this year that they have played, like the slip up against LSU was mainly because of situational football. LSU is a good football team, despite their record. They find ways to lose. They're a good football team, particularly when that offense is humming.
Yes.
They could not get Garrett Nussmeier on the ground, but Nussmeier had answers. This is a defense that is playing much better. It's probably the most talented defense in the country. And if that's a step too far, then I'll take a step back and say
NFL draft
They are
picks.
certainly the most talented defensive line in the country. So, like, I understand your warning to Florida about a warning to Ole Miss about going down to Florida. I am not at all concerned, bro. I'm not.
Okay.
Maybe because it's the SEC, there should be some healthy concern. Maybe because it's Florida, there's some healthy. This is an Ole Miss team that it's not like they're riding high with everything. People paving their path with golden boots, or you wouldn't pave it with golden boots, golden bricks. Like, this is a team that has to win the rest of their games to have keep everyone off their back. This is a desperate football team. And for them to be as talented as they are and be desperate, like, honestly, the way I feel about it is that everybody else should watch out for Ole Miss. If I was a coach, I do not want to see Ole Miss. I will see anybody else in that conference. I would see anybody else in the country and feel better about my opportunity than I would against Ole Miss. I really would.
Let me clarify. I didn't pick Florida to win. All I said was Ole Miss.
You want to pick Florida.
All I said was Ole Miss.
It did sound like you're picking Florida.
Don't go down to the swamp and catch an L. That's all I said.
It kind of sounds like you like Florida.
I mean, I like Florida, but I didn't pick them to win. I just said watch out. That's all I said. Just
plus 10. You'll be on the Gators.
Oh, I'm getting 10? Buddy.
I want to reiterate, it's the most talented defensive line in the country, which by default makes it the most talented defensive line DJ Lagway will have ever faced.
Sure.
Princely Umanmielen is coming back to the swamp. He has been on one the last month.
Yes.
He has been phenomenal. That dude could have 7 sacks in this game if hamstring DJ Lagway isn't careful. I'm just telling you, Steven.
Yeah.
Warning to Ole Miss is one thing, but my warning to everybody else in the country is that team has better players at the right spots than you do.
You're not the only one on the show who's seen Ole Miss with their own.
Yeah, you saw him bro. Why are you warning Ole Miss? You saw him against the Deeks.
I was like, who is this guy taking direct snaps and running it in from short yardage? Oh, that's J.J. Pegues. Oh, okay, got it. That's just like this hybrid, defensive linebacker who's got rushing touchdowns. Cool. Awesome.
Exactly.
That's how we do. Very nice. Yes.
I don't like to talk about them too glowingly all the time, but dude, when you're I'm impressed with that team. I am as impressed with them as I was Georgia last weekend at their performance. For all the Carson Beck haters, and I've had some decent information that Carson Beck had some stuff going on that he's gotten it rectified.
What does that mean?
I'm not going to get in that man's business.
Car trouble? Lamborghini
Probably acting up on him? Is Lambo. It's hard to find a Lamborghini dealership to fix that
They're
thing
in
up.
the shop all the time.
Yeah, they're so expensive.
You got to go all the way to Atlanta to get it fixed. I mean, imagine how much time on the road he must be spending in a tow truck.
What do we
trying
mean,
to get his Lambo
personal
fixed.
life stuff? What do we mean?
Look, he had some stuff going on.
Man,
apparently, that has been
too.
rectified.
Okay, I mean, Tripp's got a sick daughter at home, man. He still showed up to work. I mean, what
right
are we
here.
doing?
Carson Beck was showing up to work, but he wasn't playing well.
Yeah,
he wasn't playing well.
He was there, but he was seeing ghosts.
Look,
okay. I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, just take that. Just take it at face value.
So,
he had some
so
stuff
are those
going
problems
on.
done? Because you got the Jackets rolling through in 2 weeks. Okay, you want to talk about problems? We're not out of the woods yet, Georgia. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. It's a nice.
By the way, that's a Friday night game this year, Hot Rod.
Yes, it is.
So you and I, everybody else involved with Clean Old Fashioned, hey, we just get to sit back and watch it instead of having to watch it get buried or snowed under at noon on ESPNU amongst everything else on Saturday.
Bro, that game's never on ESPNU. Get out of here.
Feels like it should be because it's been pretty one-sided the last decade. Either way.
Hey, if it's as you said, watch out for them Jackets.
I did say that. That's a true story.
Who should watch out? Who should watch out more? Florida or Ole Miss or Georgia? Georgia's in 2 weeks, obviously, but
Ole Miss. Watch out! Don't let it happen. Especially after some dude came up to Jackson Dart on the jetway and was like, "Hey, man, you don't know me, but I think you guys are national championship good." Okay, bro, that guy's been tossing and turning for the last 3 days. Just been thinking about it.
Yeah, he's not sleeping.
He's sleeping just fine.
I gotta feel like Jackson Dart's sleeping just fine.
He's
sleeping very, very well. Let's keep it in the SEC though, real quick. You saw Georgia and Tennessee. Are those both playoff teams, Roddy? Because, we got the rankings coming out Tuesday night. What do we think?
Yeah. I think Tennessee is probably a playoff team at the end of the day. I am not, and I say this all the time. It depends on what happens everywhere else. But I am fascinated to see what the committee does with Tennessee. I'm fascinated to see what they do with BYU. Because I don't think Tennessee drops a ton. But does a 2-loss Tennessee drop below Miami? Probably. I think their floor should be above Alabama because they beat Alabama, and head-to-head has mattered. However, Alabama beat Georgia, Georgia beat Tennessee, and Tennessee beat Alabama. And so now you've got this weird love triangle of SEC teams that all have 2 losses.
Disney movie, man.
And then Ole Miss is sitting in there with a win over Georgia that you've got to stick somewhere in there. So the way I could see this shaking out is that it ends up I don't even freaking know, to be honest with you. But I think what you could end up seeing is Georgia at like 9. So they would jump Tennessee, Alabama, and Ole Miss. Tennessee at 10, Alabama at 11, Ole Miss at 12. I'm sorry, BYU would drop below then. So that would be Alabama at 8, Ole Miss or Georgia at. I'm sorry, I'm all mixed up, man. My brain's fried. But basically, the SEC love circle starts at 8, I think, and then Tennessee would be in a position to make a college football playoff as long as it stays above that 11 spot down the stretch, which I think they will end up there. The real question that's going to come down is what happens to Indiana after they take that butt whooping this week. Like, what happens there?
First of all, it's disrespectful to Indiana and Kurt Signetti that you just assume that they're going to catch a butt whooping. But
they are.
Okay. Vegas thinks so. It's a double-digit spread. I think it's 11 and a half at last check. If you feel that way, Roger can speak on it before we get out of here, okay? If you feel that strongly about it,
I might pop up.
You can get on the record.
Yep.
But you're right. 1 loss Indiana, then what?
Yeah. And there's a couple
of beaten no ranked teams this year. It's a bit of a problem.
Here's the thing about the top of the rankings, bro. And you can talk to me about SEC bias.
Here we go.
But Texas is going to catch some of this too. The top 5 teams have played the softest schedules of anybody in the top probably 15.
And 4 of the top 5 teams are from what league, Roddy?
The Big Ten.
Okay.
The entire Big Ten, with the exception of Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and Indiana, is the Big Ten West. It is those 4 teams, and then the rest of it's the West. The Big Ten stinks. The Big Ten is not a good conference. And they pound their chest as if they are because they've got the exposure, the Fox, CBS, NBC thing. They've got the money. They are technically the most watched conference. The thing that they will never get, and that people are realizing when the primetime NBC game is Wisconsin versus Minnesota, is like that's ball that nobody wants to watch. It's not good ball. It's not. But you get to like that portion of the SEC, and it's LSU and Florida. Hell yeah, we'll watch that because you got a first-round quarterback, 2 first-round tackles. You got guys on the defense for Florida that are going to play in the NFL. Like, this is high-level ball. When for Minnesota and freaking Wisconsin, the best that you're saying is, well, it's good team football. The collective is pretty solid. It's a difficult game. Like, look at the Big Ten standings. The Big Ten West starts at Iowa, and the rest of it is just like, bleh. And so these teams go and they beat up on the rest of that conference, and then they end up in the top 5 because they've got the look, the eye test. In Oregon and Ohio State, the thing is, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State just have each other to validate themselves. Like, there's nobody else that can validate them as top teams other than themselves. Oregon last year in the Pac-12 had validation multiple times because you had a lot of really good teams in that league.
Yes.
And now that Oregon's in the Big Ten, they're like, bro, Ohio State, this is what you guys are doing every year? This is awesome. Right. This is great. Everybody's slow. Nobody has good quarterbacks. This league is phenomenal. Where Oregon can go play a D-level football game and win on the road. Like, They played terrible against Wisconsin. Play that game against Vanderbilt and you get beat.
Boy, you talking about a game I'd love to see. Oregon, Vanderbilt right now. Sign me up. Let's go.
Well, look, if Oregon plays well in that game, they beat Vanderbilt. But the thing is, the reason that I'm fired up about this is Oregon goes on the road to Camp Randall and Camp Randall, tough place to play. Well, where have the wins been the last 7 years at Camp Randall? If it's such a tough place to play. But Oregon goes in, plays poorly on the offensive side of the football. They played poor. They left points on the field. It was not a display of offensive prowess. And because Wisconsin is putrid on offense, an excellent Oregon defense just controls the entire football game. You can't do that in other leagues. Well, you can't do that in the one other league that we compare this to. And look, Texas has done basically the same thing, and they're in the SEC. So it's not just an SEC thing. It's more comparing them to like the top teams in the SEC. Because say what you want about the Southeastern Conference, all the top teams have really played each other, other than Texas and A&M, and they will play each other. But Ole Miss has played Georgia, Alabama's played Tennessee and Georgia. Georgia's played every freaking body, everybody. So I just feel strongly that. The fact that you have 4 of the top 5 teams from the same conference can never be a good sign for that conference. It means your conference is so lopsided that in a year where everything is more even across the board, it is not in your league. Why is that? Well, because the real haves and have-nots in that league have been codified for a long time. Like, it is a caste system in the Big Ten. And Indiana has broken through it. We'll see how long that lasts. Like, is this a one-year blip? Probably. But, even next year, who's going to jump into that next year?
Nebraska.
It won't be Indiana. I can promise you won't be. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here.
I mean, I've been banging the Nebraska drum for 11
years,
man.
So
I need it. And
that's my thing.
I thought this was the year. I really did.
That's my thing on the Big Ten. And I say this to ACC people all the time. Like, Louisville loses to Stanford, and the ACC people have been crying. The ACC people have been crying about, hey, we need more respect. And Rhett Lashley even's like, our league is so deep and all this stuff. Everybody can't be a good team. Everybody can't be a good team. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, hey, everybody in our league is a good team, and then have a team that's 2-7. You can't do that. You have to have bad teams in your league.
Right.
Sorry. Stanford's a bad team. Louisville losing to Stanford's a bad loss. It is what it is. In the Big Ten, Purdue is awful, but the rest of that league ain't much better. Like, the rest of that league is.
But Louisville had so many good losses, and that's what this really is about. Who can have the most good losses? Louisville's they're owning that category right now.
They were, which is why they were ranked in the top 20.
Right.
And now they lost to Stanford, which invalidates
one
all
bad
of it.
loss. That doesn't wipe away their 3 good losses.
Okay, we're talking about you're making fun of me now. Like, you're trying to poke me right now.
Man,
and I'm not taking the bait trip. I'm not doing it.
They kept showing the overhead shots of the farm on Saturday afternoon.
Can't do that.
And I was like, guys, we don't need any more overhead shots of the farm.
Dude, here's the other thing is the ACC had largely gotten rid of those types of environments. Like, the types of environments that
Wade put in the party decks. They got rid of the track. We're on the come up here.
Wallace Wade, even Wake Forest gets crowds when they're good.
Place is rocking, dude.
You
kidding me?
You had largely eliminated. Pitt can be like that, but they get really good crowds when they have good people come to town. Boston College can be like that, although I'd heard the Boston College crowds have been much better this year. But you had gotten rid of the places where you would go and there'd be 200 people there. And then you're like,
what happened, Roddy?
Let's add Stanford and Cal.
Hey, I hear that Northern California college sports scene is really alive.
Popping.
Let's tap into that.
SMU fans don't know how to act. They're leaving in the second half at a 3-point game. Like, bro, y'all are supposed to stay for the close games. You can leave in the blowouts.
Right.
But all right, that's my top 5 rant, which I think all of those teams are deserving of being in the college football playoff rankings. And I understand the issue that the committee has. You just run out of people. But can you eye test me and tell me that Oregon, the number 1 team, is better than Georgia, the number 12 team? Can you eye test that?
Not mine. Not my eyes. No. And by the way, for folks that are out there like Roddy's just feeding at the trough, of course he's a Disney guy. He's going to bang on the Big Ten. I have a text message from Roddy last Tuesday night at 9:01 Eastern Time. And it says, and I quote, Big Ten, so overrated.
They are.
That was as soon as the rankings came out. So you've been sitting on this one for a while. So I appreciate that.
Well, just, like, the Big Ten can sit there and say we got 4 of the top 5 teams. Indiana's schedule. Indiana's schedule. Their strength of schedule's in the hundreds, and they have played. Yes. You're like, whoa, you need to play non-conference games. Indiana's gonna play non-conference games that have a strength of schedule in like the 90s. It'll be improved significantly this week with Ohio State, but that'll be the one. That'll be the one game that anybody gives a crap about from like a strength of schedule standpoint. The rest of that league is trash, and like, you can at me all you want. Just look at Indiana's strength of schedule, though. That is my proof. That is my proof because they have played everybody other than the good teams. So if you got 4 good teams, Indiana and then 3 others, and you miss all of them, your strength of schedule is trash.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out, Roddy, because if what you say is true, and we get our rankings on Tuesday night, and we'll see what those are, but you have to deal with an Indiana loss next week. If you're gonna punish Indiana because you've played nobody and you've got a loss, what do you do to the teams in the SEC that have played everybody but have 2 losses? Like, how do you balance that?
Well,
we're fixing to find out.
This is where I raise my hand in the room if I'm in that room, and I'm like, hey, look, I want you to close your eyes and think about the best that you've seen from Alabama, the best that you've seen from Georgia, the best that you've seen from Ole Miss, and then the best that you've seen from Penn State, the best that you've seen from Texas, the best that you've seen from Ohio State, and the best that you've seen from Oregon. And if you can look me dead in my face and tell me that your eyes say that those latter 4 teams are better than the 4 that I mentioned before, or the 3 that I mentioned before, then if you can say that with conviction, with your chest, then I will stand back. But if you are a legitimate football person, ain't no way you can look me in my eye and tell me that. There's no way. Because the best performances that we've seen this year have come from teams that are not in the top 4. They have. Like, what's Ohio State's best game this season? Was it the loss to Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
Oregon has looked great, but then you have and like Oregon would be the one where if you're like, hey man, like look at Oregon. I'd be like, okay, I can see it. Maybe. Yeah, squint, but I could see it. They looked real good against that Washington team that's going to be 4-8.
By the way, Oregon on a bye this week. It's kind of weird.
Well, this is the other part of the Oregon thing is I do actually commend Oregon for getting out of, as much as I railed against them. I do commend them for getting that win. They played 8 straight games. Nobody else in the country had to play 8 straight games this year because there's 2 bye weeks. So everybody else, like the maximum that I found was 7. Oregon's played 8 straight, which is in a year like this something that nobody else has been able to do. So props to you.
Go Ducks. I would love to see it. I really would. Not just like Oregon #1, making it to winning the Big Ten. Like, man, a West Coast national champ would be pretty cool. We almost had that last year in Washington.
It's not really.
Roddy says it's not happening. Okay, we're dismissing it on November 18th. Very good. All right, good.
Do you think Oregon's the best team in the country?
It's not what I said. I just said that I'd love to see it. That's all.
Do you think they're the best team in the country?
No.
If you had to do your Stephen Hartzell, who's the best teams in the country rankings?
Well, I said Georgia wasn't a national championship contender this time a week ago, and I feel like that was a wrong.
Did you say that with me?
Statement. No, I think I said that with Wayne or Felder maybe.
Bro.
I needed to see it, and I saw it. So, I don't know. Roddy, look, I'm not going to make the case for Texas. They've got flaws. I mean, come on. Texas, like, do something against Arkansas. Do anything. You're not doing anything. You're just letting Arkansas hang around, man. Come on, be better. I don't know.
Who are the best 2 teams in the country, Roddy?
Probably Georgia and Ole Miss for my money.
Oh, man. Both teams that probably won't be in the SEC championship game, which is pretty remarkable.
And look, this is playing at their best. Like when we have seen them at their best this year, the best 2 teams when they have played their best are Georgia and Ole Miss to me. I think Oregon's probably 3rd, which would make Ohio State probably 4th. Penn State is nowhere near sniffing that conversation. I could go like 7 teams deep before I get to Penn State.
What about Bama, man? I feel like Bama's best can be pretty damn good.
Bama, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, definitely, yeah. So like, if you're going back, like Bama's up there. I would say at this point Notre Dame's probably up there.
I was about to bring Notre Dame up. Where do you think they're up there too?
No, they ain't played nobody either recently, but they're
Florida
best.
State? Okay.
Hey, Notre Dame, you can't be leaving the back door open like that.
Also
against
beat
Virginia,
Georgia
man.
Tech with no.
I'm not willing to accept
no
that result
QB.
considering who was playing quarterback for the
Yeah,
Jackets.
that's what I'm saying. They didn't have Haynes King.
Tech up. I mean, Notre Dame's up 35-0 against the Who's, and then you let them score 14 meaningless points at the end of the game.
Meaningful
have
to
that.
somebody.
That's the difference between a good team and a great team. Because great teams, you cover. You handle your business. Okay?
Well, for a lot of people, they did cover. You got to get the lines right, man.
Well,
Right.
You got to get it on them.
I'm just saying.
Can't
like,
wait till Saturday morning,
a good point.
11:30 for everything.
How about you just not leave the back door open? How about you just slam it in their face? Just a
Good
thought.
point.
So, by the way, this is a Power Hour show. We got to fly. We got a lot to get to. I'm going to Costco after this because guess what I'm not doing?
Get some of them bars. Get some of them
Guess what
protein
I'm not-
bars.
Well, send me a picture of the wrapper, okay? Because there's a lot of protein bars at Costco. That's not the aisle that I go down very often, Roddy. I know that's probably going to stun you. One thing I'm not doing is going to Costco the week of Thanksgiving. So I will be going there today. I got a list. I got some stuff I need to get, like in mass quantities. Like, I don't want to bore you with it, but butter, flour, sugar, just stuff, right? Just like
Yeah.
essentials. But yeah, you can send me a picture of that bar. I don't know if I need 36 of them, but I'll take a look.
They don't go bad. You
Where
got
in the
time to
world where in the world is Roddy Jones for week 13?
I have Wake Forest at Miami.
Okay. I mean, that's not going to be a competitive game, but that's cool.
You gave the that's a game reaction. Like it's they will play football.
That feels like a game that like 2022 Roddy Jones would have been really excited about. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's all.
there's always I am always excited and appreciative to be doing games, and when you get to see a CFP contender, you're always appreciative
Contender or pretender? Contender. Maybe.
Yeah.
they're definitely a contender. They're leading the
Yeah.
ACC still, so yeah, they're still a contender.
To be a contender, all you have to do is be one of the best 12 teams.
I mean, they're leading the ACC behind SMU. I mean, they're
They're not leading.
They're
Yeah,
not at the top, but like they're
right.
definitely like
they are
near the
in
top.
pole position to be second in the ACC.
Okay, all right. So Wake coming off a loss against North Carolina could have used a couple extra touchdowns in that game, Doc. Just saying. Wake UNC would have been nice.
Yeah, that
more
was pretty
tutties.
disappointing. Wake looks pretty washed up, man. That offense, I kind of trusted both teams were going to hit 30 there, and it just never
Really
panned
materialized.
out.
That's okay. It's all right. Hey man, shock the world down in South Florida this week. You never know. All right, so we got Wake, Miami on the board. Do we know yet what are you going somewhere for championship weekend? How do they determine
No, I'm not speaking out of turn. We don't have a champ week game. No.
that? Okay. And then you'll find out where we are for the season for week 14. Or do you not know yet?
I have a general idea where we'll be after Thanksgiving, but
Okay.
it's not official yet.
All right, we save that for next week. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Because I just
And it could
I like to
change. Like
know.
I could tell you what I think I know, and the most probable place, but it could change, so it's not even worth talking about.
Okay, not even worth talking about. Very good. Anything else from Week 12? I mentioned the ACC. Clemson Pitt was pretty entertaining. Cade Klubnik, it's not just because he's white. Like that dude does have wheels. Like people think he's fast because they're like, well, he's not actually that fast. No, he's actually pretty fast.
It's fast.
He ran
Everything's
through
about
and
color
past
with you,
everybody.
Hartzell. I don't get it, man.
No, I just these guys get a bad rap because it's like, he's sneaky athletic. No, he
These
can
guys,
just be athletic.
what guys get a bad rap, Steve?
White guys.
All of them,
No,
like generally in life.
But no. I'm talking about
man.
dual threat quarterbacks. When
Sehorn.
people are like, so and so is sneaky athletic. It's like
Presidentially, like we've only had none of those guys. Feels like they get a pretty good rap.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Let me just clarify. We're talking about dual threat quarterbacks
You're
Yes.
on football.
Yes.
The football.
of the collegiate
Gotcha.
variety. Yes.
Gotcha. Cooper
yes.
DeJean is holding it down.
Cooper DeJean, that's the
Yeah,
other
no,
one.
like
yeah.
you've had a few. Don't get me wrong. Like we can go back to like Tim Dwight. Like how far back do you want to go? But
Fran
amongst-
Tarkenton is the first dual threat quarterback.
Yes, and bless him. Yes, you're right. But I thought that was entertaining football, man. Pitt's dropped
was.
3 in a row. Thanks for the memories. Tough.
Yeah.
Not ideal. Somebody's got to play in the ACC championship game, though.
It's
we
pretty-
got 3 for 2 spots.
SMU is basically in. SMU is basically in at this point. They are still undefeated in the conference. Now that second spot could get pretty spicy. Miami loses again, and Clemson's done playing in ACC play. So Miami loses, and Clemson's in the ACC championship game, and then squarely back in the college football playoff picture, which we all wrote them off for after they lost. But and
Miami lose
do you know
again?
where Miami? Do you know where Miami has to go next week?
Oh yeah, at
Yeah.
Syracuse. Okay.
They got to go check in on Fran Brown and them boys. Okay?
And it's the thing that Miami wanted was that it
Winners
would be
wash.
it would be a noon game up at Cuse. That's been announced. It's a 3:30 game, so it's not going to be prime time.
It's a problem.
But 3:30 is enough time for them people to get the tryptophan out of their system, get some
Yes.
liquor in that system, and show
Yes.
up at the JMA Wireless Carrier Dome, the artistly former known as the air conditioning place.
Yes, I have given the incorrect name of their football stadium many times on the College Football Blitz. Now I just say the
I hate
Dome.
to see
I
it.
just say the Dome.
Oh well, yeah.
I've just
Syracuse,
chosen-
by the way, could end up 9-3 at the end of the year if they went out.
Yeah, with a couple of like 1-score losses out there, pretty solid season.
Oh, it's been a really good year. Coming off of a win against Cal, which Cal.
As a double-digit dog, by the way, Vegas, poor showing there. Just
Very poor.
incorrect, wrong.
Very poor. They
And
were
by
just
the
wrong.
way, you think I haven't used the line "winners wash" to my kids since last week? You are sorely mistaken.
Winners
I have
get washed.
absolutely told them "winners wash." Okay.
Winners
Because these
get
kids try to
washed, dude.
fake taking showers, man. You got to watch out for these dudes, man. It's called personal hygiene for a reason. It's your personal responsibility.
for your
I'm not
hygiene.
washing you anymore, son. You feel me?
Yeah, winners wash themselves first thing in the morning.
Winners get washed.
They don't wait to see if they win or lose. Winners just get up and take a bath.
No, that's a loser
Or shower.
mentality. It's a loser mentality. You at the end of your day, if you've won the day, you wash. If you lose the day, you don't wash. And then you get up and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And you want that shower, then you better win.
Yeah, win. That's correct. Anyway, we digress. All right, Trip, anything
Oh.
from the stock report?
We got to go around the rest of the country first. There's
Okay,
a couple
well,
of
Trip, you prep your stock report because I got issues with one of the things that you were trying to sell last week.
Oh, I'm ready.
Roddy, what do you have for the rest of the Week 12 reaction, sir?
Well, so first let's go conference by conference just holistically. We'll start in the Big 12. Welcome to your Colorado Arizona State possibility for the championship game. Thanks for the memories, Kansas State. Lord, how things have gone sideways for Kansas State in the span of 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, this was a one-loss team that had the inside track to the Big 12 championship game. They then lost to Houston on the road, and then at home, Arizona State. And to be honest, Arizona State whooped that tail. Arizona State got after that ass. Arizona State was up 24-6 going in the fourth quarter. But gotta.
Yeah.
What the hell happened? What the hell happened to Kansas State? But anyway, thanks for the memories, Kansas State. What was the other result in that one? Oh, Iowa State kept its hopes alive. We already railed on the Big Ten enough. But is Nebraska going to get bowl eligible?
Probably not.
Bro, this was a team
I
that
know.
after 3 or 4 weeks, everybody was saying they're going to be undefeated going to the Ohio State game.
I know. I remember. I might have been one of those people.
Undefeated. Now they got Wisconsin, who just fired their offensive coordinator, and Iowa, and the ultimate Big 10 West matchup.
Yeah.
2 of them back to back,
You better beat Wisconsin because you're not beating Iowa.
back to back. No, Iowa's quietly put together like a. I've joked about the Big 10 West, but like if we had the Big 10 West, we would be talking a lot about Iowa because it's an Iowa team that like played better and was actually pretty good until they took that L to
UCLA.
Mighty Bruins,
Thank
which
you.
I
There you
Trip
go.
don't know if
correctly
they're any
told
good
us to
either.
sell last week. He did correctly tell
Yes.
us to sell. Yes.
Iowa or
correct.
UCLA.
He told us to sell UCLA. Said they were
That
going
was
to
a-
lose out.
That was a bad take. That was a bad take.
Well, they lost at
no,
Washington, so
they
he's
lost.
right
It was-
on that.
it
Oh
was
yeah, the
really
Iowa
bad.
game was 2 weeks ago. My bad. Yeah.
You also told us to buy Cal, which I did. And
That was a
then,
bad
yeah, it's funny, huh? Yeah, it's funny.
That's so
That was a bad take.
Past
Look.
results are not indicative of future success. Isn't that the
4
disclaimer?
losses by a combined 9 points. You talk yourself into, hey, they could have been undefeated, and then they just get run off
He
the
wanted
field,
to watch.
run off
Like,
their home
Fran
field.
Brown wanted to get washed up before he had that cross country flight home, and he did.
He got washed.
Yeah,
he got washed. Cal had to climb back into that game, which they did late. But the ending of the Stanford-Louisville game, like we've talked a little bit about that, but I've never seen a team with the ball and the game tied with 11 seconds left in the opposing team's territory lose the football game. They had the ball in their hands with 11 seconds left in the game. Now, given I am sort of fudging the numbers here because 11 seconds was during the play, but they had the ball with less than 20 seconds left with the game tied in Stanford territory and lost. They ran a 4th and 10 play. The play started with 15 seconds. Throw the ball in the end zone. No, it was 10 seconds. It was when they snapped the ball. Throw the ball in the end zone. Stanford gets the ball back with 4 seconds left. Did you see the ending of this? 4 seconds left. They throw a 1-yard pass. They get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Sets up a 57-yard field goal attempt. Then they get an offsides to make it a 52-yard field goal attempt for Stanford. Kid nails it. Ball game. How that is biblical proportions of
and everything that you're just saying, Roddy, happened in front of about 900 people, including the bands, and the rosters of each team.
Yes,
there were 500-600
concession
people at
workers. Yes.
Yeah, I forgot all about the folks
dogs,
that are there cooking
dogs,
popcorn
chickens,
and
cats,
baking glizzies. Yes, you're absolutely
elderly
right.
people and twerkers. Yep, that was it. They were
Tough
less than.
scene.
Yes,
Tough.
it was. Last one, Mizzou.
Thanks for the memories.
It was no.
Yeah.
Not even thanks. Not even thanks for Mizzou didn't have any memories.
They
Mizzou
had
did not give
memories.
us a single good memory.
Yeah, sure they did.
There no good
Messed up my
memories left in
weekend
there.
for sure.
Yeah, they had memories.
There no good memories. You remember that win over UMass? That was fun.
I do remember that game.
Remember
Vividly,
that Boston?
actually.
Remember that Boston College win? That was a real high. We also got one over Auburn and one over 5-5 Oklahoma. Thanks for the memories.
Here's the problem with Missouri. You get a schedule like the one they just had in the SEC and you don't take advantage of it. That's because look,
So here's the thing. I'm not saying these two teams are the exact same. But if you give Missouri Indiana schedule, they go undefeated. You know how I know? Because the portion of their schedule that looked like Indiana's, they were undefeated. And then they played A&M, Alabama, and South Carolina
on the road.
And they have been defeated.
Why are you dragging Missouri after the best game they played all year?
What are you talking about? They lost the game.
They did look good.
Yeah, they were a 13.5 point dog. They only lost by 4.
So they cut like your.
Oh yeah, they made an easy cover. Ruined my weekend.
It was not easy.
I'm going to end up
they got
having
there.
a caddy for Hartzell now.
I don't think that was the best game that they played all year. Remember the UMass game?
The UMass game was impressive. To your
point,
point,
it's a tie
though,
between that loss to South Carolina and UMass.
To your point, Roddy, the toughest, the adversity that Indiana has faced. It's November 18th. The greatest amount of adversity that Indiana football has faced this year was a first quarter 10-0 deficit in East Lansing for a 3:30 kick against Sparty. Because the rest of those road games, man, I mean, it hasn't happened. Like, they're going to face adversity on Saturday at the Horseshoe, obviously. But yeah, man, you're right. But that's what happens when you have 18 teams in a league.
Yeah.
And there are going to be teams that get the benefit of a lopsided weak schedule, man. This isn't the NFL where they pair you up based on where you finished and your opponent's strength of record. Like, this ain't that. This is college football, man. There's going to be teams like this every year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Probably. Yep. All right. Let's stock it up. Stock, doc, lock, doc.
You got any tips for us this week, Trip?
I got one that could change your life. So I don't like to do this, but if you are listening to the show, pull your car over.
Oh, God.
All right.
Bet the mortgage.
Charleston Southern plus 8,000. That's what you can get right now. plus 8,000.
That's 80 to 1 for the uninitiated. That's what that means.
I think at this point we got to get outside the box, and we got to wonder: do some people, maybe some powerful people, have a little dirt on Norvell?
What do you mean?
Powerful people?
Like, maybe he's got Epstein ties or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, that's reckless. That is reckless.
I'm saying we need to consider some things. Maybe it's some people at Florida. Maybe it's the Gators. They've got some dirt on them.
If I'm in Gainesville,
Or maybe it's
I
the
don't
AD.
want Norvell going anywhere.
So
Stay where you are.
Exactly. Maybe they've got dirt on the AD and he can't fire.
You're picking Charleston Southern to beat Florida State.
Yeah.
I've never seen an emotional hedge on an FBS game.
33 and a half.
Yo, take the Bucks plus 33 and a hook.
So you take the points, but you're not taking
the Buccaneers. Florida State can't score 33 points, let alone cover a 33-point spread. Because they have yet to break how many on the mainland this year? What's the high for them in the continental United States?
16.
Scoring output. 16 points.
16. And the thing is, people aren't even looking at Charleston Southern, their schedule. They played, I'm not sure who EIU is, but they only
Eastern
lost
Illinois.
by a field goal.
Put a little respect on Eastern Illinois' name.
Only lost to Gardner-Webb by a field goal. They've been playing close games. They could have won the Southeast Missouri game.
SEMO.
Tennessee Tech, they kept that respectable.
All right,
This whole discussion is gross.
That's okay. That's all right. Let's end it on a high note. Rochester went 8.
Wait, was that your stock pick?
That's it.
That's it.
Loud.
We've resorted to penny stocks. We're trying to get rich quick here. Plus 8,000. Charleston.
Remember the conversation? What if I told you?
What if I told you? All right.
I'm just glad that you prefaced it with pull over to the side of the road because
don't pull over, people. If you've pulled over, you start your car back up and keep rolling.
You went 8-5 last week picking games, which is nice.
Right. Nice.
You are still significantly below 500 for the year, but 2 weeks left in the regular season. Like, no need to think that we can't keep this going. Let's rally. And of course, we're going to the well in championship week. So
how far below? Oh, I'm way below 500.
You're 14 games below 500. You had a week where you went 2-12.
I just got unlucky on that week. I got unlucky.
Where you went 2-12, dog.
Yeah, I got unlucky. What do you want from me?
Back from that, so you've got to.
Got unlucky.
You got to get it back in the aggregate.
This past week, my misses were big misses. Although Texas minus 13.5, I was on the right side there. It just
right
and
side,
Oregon too. But
they were never covering. But anyway, let's. What do we got for week 13? I got all my lines here, so fire away.
So it's been working to start on Saturday. So we're going to avoid the Jackets hosting NC State on Thursday. We're going to avoid that. Let's start at big noon. Give me Ohio State minus the points. That honestly should be your hammer. Like, that should be the hammer lock of the pick.
It's 12.5. You're comfortable with that?
Yes, absolutely. If here's my statement. If Ohio State cannot beat Indiana by more than 12.5, they are not a national championship contender.
Okay.
They can't win a national championship. You can't do that.
All right.
If Indiana were in the SEC, who would they be? Like, who is Indiana's doppelganger in the SEC?
I'm not comfortable. See, I'm not here for the Indiana slander.
Based on eye test. The way they look. At their best. At their very best.
Tennessee?
Nah.
Tennessee.
I think that's a little rich. I do.
Good quarterback, good offense.
Tennessee's defense is unbelievable.
Underappreciated defense, solid run game. Tennessee. You guys want to say that they look like Missouri or somebody. Like, I'm not comfortable with that.
That's who Roddy's on, Missouri.
I would say South Carolina is probably the closest.
No.
I think if those two teams play on a neutral field, it's like a field goal game.
Oh, I think South Carolina probably beat them.
I don't disagree.
Both teams are fun.
I
like both of those teams. I'm allowed to root for both teams there.
I had a smart man once told me, like, if you want to see who's going to win in college athletics, count the pros. Count the pros.
South Carolina's got more pros than Indiana.
And generally in college athletics, the team with more pros usually wins.
That's why the
Which
SEC is the best football conference in
why
America.
it's
year
why the
after
SEC
year
it's why
after
the
year.
SEC beats itself up
Yeah.
because everybody's got pros. Everybody's got them. All right, so I'll take Ohio State plus the points because they got more pros and they have a $20 million roster. Give me Ole Miss minus the points on the road at Florida. At Florida.
You're working a game at noon. You're going to be sweating that bottom line when the score reports are happening.
No. Yeah, the Matt Berry
You're going to see
cut-ins.
those score
Matt
reports
Berry
on-
here.
Matt Berry here.
They might need extra carts.
What's
for
Matt Berry, like
Lagway this
5'3",
week.
5'4"?
Matt Berry's taller than I am.
Please.
He is.
Guy's tiny.
Oh, he's slender. But he's
Bro,
not
if I was
tiny.
on the court with Matt Berry, I'd be like, I'd post that man up, mouse in the house. Give me the ball.
That's not
Back to
true.
the basket. I'd post
I mean,
that dude up.
you might be a little thicker, but like
Matt
Matt's.
Berry.
Thick with 2 C's.
You know who Matt Berry is?
How do you
Not
spell it?
personally. I know who he-
Barrie.
Come on, man. He's the Thursday Night Lights guy. He's on ESPN all
He
the
does
time.
the raps.
Well,
He does
the
sports center all
fantasy
the time.
football guy's the one.
He talks out of his mouth like kind of on the side a little bit.
Actually, he kind of reminds me. Like the first thing, if you Google him, his haircut, you just got tuned up there, Hartzell. You guys kind of have a similar haircut right now.
No, we don't, because there's no
First
product
picture
touching
on
this hair,
Google.
bro.
I mean, you guys look
No.
identical.
No,
I-
Matt Berry's got a gray head of hair.
I will.
hair.
I will. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that comparison at all. Actually,
I mean, he combs it and everything. I think if Hartzell put a little effort into it, he'd have the
that
same
ain't me,
hair.
bro. That ain't me.
That's true.
That's the
All
old
right.
me. This is the new me.
Give me SMU minus the points at Virginia.
Smooth. This
Another
is a,
nooner.
It's a tricky game right here.
Why is that? Because Smooth's played people
Because
close.
SMU doesn't know what it's like to go to Scott Stadium and win a game that you're
Dude.
supposed to just win. Like it's
Gotta
supposed to
walk
be
on those
easy.
You
It
in
ain't easy
Scott
in
Stadium.
Charlottesville.
I don't know why you keep
Might
going.
tweak your ankle.
There is tell me there's not voodoo in Scott Stadium.
Yeah, Florida State, 95.
Voodoo.
I
Work
mean,
done was
maybe,
in,
but you have to have a good team, and that team, like I've been to Scott Stadium a bunch, and I've seen more Virginia losses than Virginia wins,
That's the new
including
Virginia.
my own.
Yeah.
My own going up there. I mean, we lost one of them, but we also won one. And then since I've been a broadcaster, I'm not sure how many Virginia games I've done where they've won.
I think SMU's feeling the pressure a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Feeling the pressure.
Maybe.
I said that about Boise State last week, by the way, and they did. They were trailing 14-0.
They were trailing.
ended up winning by 21.
Yeah.
Come on, Boise.
Yeah,
Anyway.
not ideal. It's the SEC's. Excuse me,
Roddy's
it's the
not
SEC's bye
yawning.
week.
That's not that's a sound effect. That's not him
Yeah, I
actually
need
being
to
tired. on the
edit
show.
that.
Yep, sorry. Golly, what other games are there to pick? I'll
Working.
go Colorado minus the points on the road at Kansas.
Okay, Colorado -3.
What about the way
Kansas is
Colorado was
awoken.
played makes you think?
I know.
Did you-
Kansas is
bro,
awfully good.
You did not watch that game last week if you think Kansas has awoken.
They have awoken.
What about their game against BYU makes you think they're awake?
They won.
Okay, that's it. Literally.
That's it. That's all I need.
The quarterback pooch punted a ball that hit a BYU player on the back of the helmet.
How do we
another-
feel about Colorado's ability to stop Devin Neal? How do we feel
Another
about that?
bro,
I'm asking.
Kansas had to have the quarterback pooch punt a football that hit off of the back of the head of a BYU player.
I understand.
Another BYU player tried to dive on that same football. It squirted out. They recovered it on the 3-yard line and got in the end zone.
I understand.
Colorado will be fine against Devin Neal.
Okay.
How do you feel about Kansas's ability to cover Colorado?
Not great.
That
I
is-
think it's going to be a shootout.
That is the only freaking question that matters when you play Colorado. It's the
But
only question.
Kansas ought to match up with them better than some
Most
of the other teams.
better than
right?
most. They've got two very good corners. Those corners have gotten beat a decent chunk this year.
Yeah.
You have to be able to rush the passer or dedicate a lot of numbers to blitzing the passer if you want to play Colorado successfully. And as good as Kobe Bryant and Melo Dotson are,
Kobe.
like, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll see.
It can be a game.
Colorado -3 at Arrowhead. All right, keep it rolling, big dog.
You convince yourself of that. picking a lot of favorites this week. So I'll go BYU plus the points on the road at Arizona State.
I think BYU gets right, huh? You think they bounce back?
I don't really think that, but I've got too many favorites, so I needed a dog.
BYU plus 3. All right.
I needed a dog. Need a dog.
How about them? Huh? How about 'em? They're back.
They're
They're back. They're back.
freaking dogs. Oh, I hate them.
Michigan.
How's
I'll
your
also
new
take-
dog, by the way? How's that going?
Oh, Potato. He's fine.
Potato.
Tater.
Adorable.
Pooping on
Tater
the floor. He's very cute, but he's pooping on the floor and stuff.
That's what you've signed up for.
Just whining. I didn't sign up for any of it. I just finally.
Got that L is what you did. Got that L.
There it is. You win some, you lose some. All right. Give me Stanford plus the points in the big game.
Yeah, here we go. Now we're talking. Just a classic ACC rivalry buried at 12:30 local time on ACC.
On ACC Network. That's the best part to me.
You want Stanford plus 14, all right?
Yes, I do.
Yours.
Yes, I do. What else we got?
I'm going to tell you right now, you have skipped over a game that kicks at 2:30 that is a lock.
2:30.
A lock of locks. It's in the Sun Belt, though. I know you're not really the Sun Belt king anymore.
A lock of locks. JMU minus the points at App.
That's too many. It's too many.
Oh, you think App is the pick here? Yeah. Why do you think App is the pick?
App's 4 and 5. They got to have it. They got to have it.
They got to have it for what?
To go to a bowl.
No, they
What
don't.
bowl?
Any bowl. The postseason. This is App State. App State doesn't not go to bowl games back
You
to
know,
back years.
like,
That would be a
are we
disaster.
making too much of the whole, like, you got to get bowl eligible
No.
with that 6 win just so we can go to the, whatever.
Poop bowl.
Spoken like a
Bottled-
true Florida State fan.
Bottled
Trip.
water bowl.
Spoken like a
So
true
what's the
Florida
rule if
State
you have a
fan.
game canceled? Do you still have to win 6 or do you just have to have a winning record? I
I'm not
actually
going to
don't know
pretend
that.
like I know the answer to that, okay? Because I don't know the answer to that.
I don't
know.
I'm gonna leave that game alone.
I'm telling you right
because-
now. You might be hearing from me on Friday's show on this game. Just telling you that right now.
Wow.
Well, you're in a position you can throw just about anything out there anymore.
There's not a lot of
Doesn't
other
matter.
games to pick, so we can pick that game. Give me James Madison plus the points. Minus the points.
That's the wrong side, man.
great
That's
pick.
Okay. Trying to help you dig out of this hole,
That's a
Roddy, but you don't
great
want to. You don't want my help.
I
All
don't
right.
want to. I don't want.
You
your
don't
help.
want my help. You think
I
you're just
don't.
going to do this on your own. You're just going to bulldog this thing.
Yes.
Oh,
Raw dog is raw dog. I'll take UCLA plus the points.
ooh.
No.
Ooh.
No.
Okay. Little crosstown showdown here.
Why are you so
No.
adamant? One does not simply stroll into the Rose Bowl.
I put it on the report last week. They're going to lose to whoever they just lost to. And Washington. Yeah, they're going to lose to Washington. and
UCLA is
USC.
getting 4.5. Okay. The fighting Wayne Cooks. 10:30 kick on NBC. God.
I will not be watching.
Man.
I will not be watching.
That's too late.
Yes, it is. Way too late. How many do we got now?
You've only got like
It's
You
not
got to
very
go at
seven.
least 14.
Seven
Yeah,
or
we
eight.
gotta go. We gotta go some more. All right. I'll take Iowa State minus the points at Utah.
Iowa State minus 6.5. Okay.
Yep. Give me Virginia Tech plus the points at Duke.
Ooh.
That's the wrong side to be on.
They're minus the points.
Oh, okay. Then hell yeah. Let me take Duke plus the points then.
Duke plus 3
Sorry, I read that wrong. It's been a long
is
day.
officially basketball
Oh,
season in the
I'll
Hurt
take-
household.
I'll take Texas A&M plus minus the points at Auburn. Definitely.
Auburn, Texas A&M minus 2.5. Okay.
And Alabama minus the points at Oklahoma.
There's a pick.
Alabama minus 14 at Oklahoma. Okay.
Yeah. Also give me Notre Dame minus the points against Army in Yankee Stadium.
7 o'clock on
Have you
NBC,
seen the
huh?
Army uniforms
I have
for the
not. Are they
Army
legit?
Navy game? Not this coming week, but the Army. Go on Twitter and check that out. Very,
will do
very
that.
cool.
Yeah. Nike shows up for that game, unlike Under Armour for Navy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I don't know. Tries. All right. Those are the picks.
Okay. All right, Roger. I want back-to-back weeks. It would give you 3 out of your last 4. Trying to dig out of that hole, that week 9 hole, when you went 2 for a dozen. It's not
Just got completely
not
screwed.
great.
Good luck.
Roddy, thank you for saving the best takes of the day for us. We really appreciate it here on CSN. Means a lot. So thank you. For the doc, for Rodstra, I'm Hartzell. We'll talk to you guys on Wednesday, okay? Little CFP reaction show with me and Cookie. Let's do it, man. We'll talk to y'all then.